Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another live session. As always, thank you so much for being here. I sincerely appreciate it. So, like all sessions, we'll kind of warm in, we'll slowly start to introduce some ideas and concepts in these live sessions. And so, as people are coming into the session, the first thing is always just nice to know, well, where you're visiting from. We're really fortunate to have a global audience, and just you can see me, you can hear me. The constant reminder is it's Brad, thank you so much. Is that it's summertime. So in the summer, we tend to have a little bit slower sessions, less of an audience, and that's okay. And obviously, 2024, all hiring is down. And so, of course, the audience will be a little smaller, and that's okay. I sincerely appreciate everybody who's here. And I'm here to drive value for anybody who wants to show up now. And as always, these are recorded and and you'll be able to rewatch them anytime. So even if you just have an opportunity in these sessions to throw in a question, you just want to get your question answered and bounce out, totally cool. I'm just here to help in whatever facet I can. So let's talk through things for a moment. I did not produce a new video yesterday. Sometimes I think it's good. We don't talk about it enough as creators. Like it's a lot of pressure and burnout. These live sessions, I don't see it that way. I really love showing up for the community, and I get really engaged and excited. And it's these sessions are easy. Doing the long form original content is a lot of weekend work, and so I did take yesterday off. So there's no new video yesterday, but I am going to produce a bunch of shorts this week. I've been kind of hitting about 2 per week. The goal is 3, maybe with no original content this week. I'll try and hit 4. So let's talk through a few things, and then as the questions come in, we'll dive in. This is a Q&A session. So in our downtime, we'll talk about, are we spending enough time practicing? Because that's the foundational item we'll talk about, but that's only when it's slow. So any and all questions are welcome. Just today, if you use the coupon code Blue Sky, that's going to be 20% off of our AI tool and 20% off of our interview mastery course. We have a significant update coming to the AI tool either late this week or early next week. And basically that update is modular feedback. We're really going to not only take what we already give in terms of feedback, which is modular, but we're going to break it section by section so that you can only work on the actions in your behavioral answers, or you can only work on the assumptions in your hypothetical answers. We are trying to make it so easy for you to get better at one little piece. So if you want to use that 20% coupon code, promo code, you can. My business is practiceinterviews.com. So on that website, you can book one-on-one interview coaching, negotiation coaching, or a strategy session. That's resume and LinkedIn. And I go live 9 a.m. Pacific time every single Tuesday, and then new original content every Monday. If I'm going to take a week off, I'll always update that in the community tab on YouTube like I did yesterday. If you like what I'm doing today, smash that like button. If you've never subscribed, those are the times where I produce content, and I'm still trying to drive shorts as well. One other really quick item is that I did partner with Talent Acquisition Week, and they have a virtual event going on all this week that's really sourcing, recruiting, and employer branding focused. So if you want to check that out, there's a link in the YouTube description as well. Okay, let's dive into comments and we'll go through it. It looks like it's pretty lean to start, but we'll warm in. Remember, anything and everything is on the table. Any and all questions, I understand. Confidentiality, privacy, like you don't always want to be publicly asking questions. I get it, but I'm here to help if you need it. Brad, as always, you're my savior on the audio and video. Just always nice to know that things are working. Thanks for being here. Thanks for being here. Hey, Ash, good to have you here. Hey, from the Bay. Amazing. Love the Bay. Okay. When do you reckon the market to get better for tech roles? So again, I always like to state, of course, you're asking for my opinion. So I'm going to give my opinion, and the answer is really probably not the most positive, which is I don't ever see the tech market increasing for hires in the sense of the way we used to look at it in the past. So here's what happened. Somebody asked, maybe it was a question on Slack. I can't remember if it was Slack or YouTube comment, but I did actually look up the total number of openings that Google has right now globally, and it's sitting at about 2,400, which I was surprised. I was surprised to see the number that high. I didn't think it'd be that high. Why am I saying that I don't think it's going to increase over time? I don't believe it's going to increase over time because I think that automation will continue to remove jobs from the market, not add jobs to the market. And so I also am a strong believer, again, just my belief, that we're going to go towards more of a solopreneur, entrepreneur, very SMB focused market. I don't think you're going to continue to see these new big companies just getting huge because they're either going to get acquired because that's a good move for them, or it's just a smaller economy because generative AI can just take away a lot of the things that businesses used to need to hire for. They don't need to hire for them anymore. I'm happy to dive deeper into my thoughts, but that's just kind of the really high level of the way I see it. I hope that helps. Hey, good to have you here from Virginia. Okay, awesome. From Romania, my next door neighbor. She's Romanian and we're very close friends. Very cool. Um, Hi from California. I'm in San Diego. If people didn't know that, that's where I'm at. Hey, Jeff, thanks for all your assistance. Question: I have tried to follow up with the Google recruiters regarding potential opportunities as you have suggested, but I have not heard any response. Yeah, this is pretty common. I want to how do I preface this or say this? Like recruiters are definitely going to do what's best for them. And so if they don't see a job opportunity that they can fill for one of their openings, their ability to help you, they won't. And so I know I'm going to do a wait, did I do a short on this? I don't know if I did a short on this. I can't even remember. But basically, remember the key steps, and I basically talk about this in every live. But the best way to make sure that recruiters help you is you identify a specific role. You email them that specific role with the link to the role, 3 to 5 bullets for why you're a fit for the role. In that email, you include your email and phone number because oftentimes it's not their position, so they're forwarding it on to somebody else. So that's a quick hit, allows them to follow up with you really quickly. You provide all your availability. I strongly recommend anybody in job search mode pays like the $20 a month to get a Calendly account, because if you can send them a calendar link, they can book time on your calendar anytime. It just removes a step, but you can also, in the body of that email, give them dates over 2 or 3 weeks to follow up, and then an updated resume that has a summary that's aligned with that role. That way, we've removed any back and forth questions about the position, why we're a fit, a resume that gives the background, our availability, our contact info. It's huge. You make it easier, and this is just this is a one-off, right? Like I know your situation's a little different, but basically what we want to do is whenever we write emails, just in general, it's give them all the data. Yeah, sometimes the email is going to be a little bit long, but the reality is that when we remove the ability or the need actually to go back and forth, it just makes things so much easier on the intended audience. And oftentimes that intended audience, we're asking them to do something for us. So we're going to give them every single piece of information that's going to remove this need for them to do any follow up. You will have unbelievable results. And why do I love this strategy? Because it works in corporate too. So many emails leave so much questioning that it's a lost, really basic communication style to say, like, here's all the data. so that you can parse through it, and then you don't need to create any back and forth. I've uncovered all those missing data points to allow us to move forward. Whew. I know that was long-winded, but I hope it helps. Okay. Yo, hey. I'm in a weird situation at Meta. Okay. Currently contract, and my manager extended my contract another year. He just got laid off with the rest of the team. What does this mean for me? Oh wow. Okay. I'm just gonna anybody who left a question, I'm just gonna jump ahead and then I'll come back. My manager said I should be good till end of year, but I'm not sure since the new manager doesn't seem so chill or we would vibe. Currently looking for an FTE role. Okay. All right. And I'm going to come to this and then we'll go back. Another question. Someone who is in such a team matching for the last 3 months visited the office yesterday. She is eager to start and started asking around if we could help her. Is that a good approach? Okay. So let's tackle this first. Totally with you on the concerns, right? Oh, I think I lost my mic. I think if anybody wants to let me know, I think it should be working. I can see it lighting up. Sorry about that. So let's go back to that first question to start. So yeah, this is a tricky scenario, and I think anybody who's trying to give you the warm and fuzzies and say, "Hey, don't worry about it. It's all going to be great." Well, all this flows through our lead and our manager, and if they like us, that's our best opportunity to stay. I absolutely 100% would be seeking out full-time opportunities at Meta and be looking outside, because anytime you move to a new manager, you're in a contract role, it's really not guaranteed. So you need to take fast action 100%. This is a tricky situation, and yeah, I want you to take massive action. That means reaching out to your team's gone, but reaching out to collaborative stakeholders, other hiring managers, you want to try and find that FTE role, and then just be looking outside the organization as well, because you're in a tricky spot, and if you take no action, you could be out of a job. I hate to say that, but like, I'm here to talk reality, right? Okay, so then on your follow-up question, somebody who's in the team matching visited the office yesterday. She's eager to start and started asking around. I mean, this is a really weird scenario. Somebody walking the floor who's in the team match stage asking for help. Now, if they're a current contractor and they're in the team match stage, that's one thing. But if they're external, not recommended. That's maybe crossing the line a little bit, but if you want to give me more context on that, please do. All right, Jeff, coming to you. I'm applying for big tech PM roles with referrals within 48 hours and meet all the role recs. In my opinion, my resume is well written. A strong product background, but no big name employers. Still not getting interviews. How can I get noticed? Okay, so really, Jeff, sometimes what I want you to be thinking about, and let's just go back to this, is you just got to continue to work those referrals. Is this a great answer? No, but you just need to push, pressure. You need to constantly ask for help, and we got to lean into our people who are going to refer us. I know it can feel like you're being pokey or really annoying, but product roles, the reason why it's tough to get interviews, even if you get referred, is because product roles are as competitive as any role in the market, and it's been this way for at least the last 3 years. I would say in a lot of senses, I think product roles are more competitive than engineering roles, maybe not Gen AI engineering roles, but most engineering roles I would put second to product roles. That's why product managers are basically getting paid as well, if not better, than software engineers now. So you're not going to get an interview every time. The competition is fierce. And so, yes, do you want to continue to look at your resume and see how you can cater and craft it? Should you be updating the summary section of your resume to align with the specific product role every single time? You should. But the best thing you can do is just beg, plead, just push your referrers. And my constant feedback is bribe them with what they like, send them some great coffee or a bottle of wine or a gift certificate to their favorite restaurant. It's just kind of a thank you for the work. And maybe it's a little bit of a bribe. But again, bribe, I use that term in the fun sense. But we just got to lean into our people. It's just the only thing we can do to get noticed, especially on the product side where the competition is fierce. I hope that helps. Let me know if you have more questions. Hey, Jeff, I've been following you for almost a year. Thanks for the great advice. Can you talk a little bit more about internal transfer? Okay. Let's go to the second part of your question. Oh, and you're back with the voice. Okay, cool. All right, okay. Sorry, let's tackle this one piece at a time. So, internal transfers at any company, right? Part of the internal transfer process is understanding a couple of very, very key items. One is you have to build up that trust and credibility to get an internal transfer. So a minimum, I think, in any company of at least a year, 2 years is better. So the cool thing about internal transfers at really big companies is that internal transfers can go across countries, right? And so you could transfer, like for me, my famous story that never happened was I had interviews for a few different roles in London. For one reason or another, it never worked out, but that would have been an internal transfer for a recruiting role from Mountain View to London, which I was really looking to do. But that at that time, I had been at the organization for over 3 years. The other key one, let's say you're going into big tech, a company like Google. I would never transfer roles until I got promoted, because regardless of what they tell you, a transfer before promo will set back your promo path. It's basically like restarting. And I think anybody who's worked in big tech would tell you, do not transfer until you get promoted. Now, you may want to get away from your manager so bad that you're willing to set that back, but just know that that is a consequence if you were to do it. I hope that helps. Obviously, there's a ton of other things to consider. If you have any more specific questions, let me know. What about non-technical roles? Will we see those boost at some point? I don't know. I don't see more jobs. Again, I think my lens is somewhat narrow. I just don't see more and more jobs coming out. I see, if we were to cast a wide net, let's just come up with a random number, right? This is going to be the most random number. If right now across the world, all jobs at all levels, like there's 100 million openings right now. I mean, that's probably grossly exaggerated, but let's just say there's 100 million openings globally. In 3 years, I think that would be cut in half because of AI. Can automate out a lot of jobs at the lower end. We can automate jobs out at the higher end, like software engineers. You're going to maybe need much more senior engineers, but at the lower end, is AI going to be able to write all that code? Probably. So to me, I see less of those. But from a non-technical standpoint, what people are going to desire is human connection, human communication. So I see a huge opportunity there. And what I always like to default to is communication is going to be everything moving forward. I would strongly recommend constantly working on your communication skills, even taking maybe something like Toastmasters to enhance your speech capabilities. Read a ton of books on communication, because communication will be the differentiator moving forward, in my opinion. And that could be in any role, including non-technical. I hope that helps. Hi from Canada. Hi, nice to have you here. I had a trip booked to Toronto last summer and I got COVID the day before I was supposed to go, and I was so bummed because I've never been. So, still on my Toronto and Vancouver, still on my bucket list. In my opinion, about marketing, looks like it's going to be stable and balanced, but there's a lack. Yeah, are slowly jobs coming back in, but only in different ways, and we need to be ready for the new changes. Yeah, we need to be ready for the new environment. If you've watched any of my content, I strongly believe that AI is going to have a much more broad and sweeping impact on the job market than people are anticipating currently. And it's not a gloom and doom. It's a take advantage of those tools, learn how to up your communication skills, and use your strong communication skills to automate the tasks that don't require communication or complex communication. I think what's going to happen is in the next 2 to 3 years, we're going to see a trend towards a position getting completely eliminated, where it's not like we lose 50,000 jobs at one time. We lose 10 million jobs overnight. It's going to happen. So we just got to be prepared for it. We got to get ready for it. And I put out all these polls on LinkedIn. If you follow me on LinkedIn, you've seen them before, about AI. Hey, is your job going to get replaced by AI? Do you think all the jobs are going to get replaced by AI? And like, most people say no. And I just want to be prepared. I'm somebody who likes to be prepared for the scenario, and just be prepared for the fact that the way that technology is going to improve, it's going to happen really, really quickly. And it just concerns me that I feel as though people are not taking it seriously enough or don't truly understand the impact. Okay, so this strategy of precisely emailing the HR will work across other organizations as well, and not just big tech. Well, it depends on the relationship. So those emails that I'm referencing are typically best when you have a point of contact. If that's a cold email and you're like, hey, here's a job, here's why I'm a fit, and all that stuff, yes, you'll absolutely have a higher success rate than somebody who just emails a potential recruiter or hiring manager and says, give me a job, which happens so much more than you would possibly expect. But it can be a strategy you use. Again, if you're going to do networking, my recommendation is to give that intended audience a video, an article, something that they're going to like and attach to, and do a give first model, as opposed to just always saying, here's a job, I'm a fit, help me. That strategy typically on the cold side doesn't work. Okay, Brad, always here to help. Sound is good. Yeah, I tend to hit that chord with my hand quite a bit. The setup is always funky for these lives, and I'm settling it in my new office, so I'm still trying to get my feel for it. Okay, you're back. You can hear me now. Okay. Thank you. I did that. Still no response. You'll be persistent. Okay, so again, when it comes to following up after we've been passed over for a job or not been given a job, just link to the job. 3 to 5 bullets for why you're a fit. Your email and phone number in the base of that email, yes, because that's a forwarding communication trick. Your availability with the Calendly link, or just your availability with the next 2 to 3 weeks, and then an updated resume where the summary bullets align with the job position. Hey, Jeff. A recruiter contacted me from Google and asked me to do the Google hiring assessment, which I passed on Saturday. When should I expect to get an update regarding the next step? And if so, advice. You may never move to the next step. This is kind of part of what they've done, is they've said, okay, this is a candidate we think we're interested in. We're going to give them the assessment, and if they pass, we might consider them. you may really not hear much of anything from them. If you do hear from them, I strongly recommend. I do have a video. My YouTube page is searchable. I think sometimes maybe I just don't know if that's like really common knowledge, but if you go and you search my content, I do have that recruiter screen interview video that could be really helpful in how to have success. But that's just being on time, being friendly and kind, being able to answer some simple questions. But the recruiter screens are typically very, very simple. Thanks, Jeff. Yes, they were an external hire, so I thought it was weird that she was just asking around. Yeah, and by the way, like serious risk there, right? Like if I'm just walking around the office as an external hire because I was like there to meet with my friend or go to lunch with my friend, I'm like, hey, can you get me a job? I would probably go flag that to whoever if I knew that person's name. Obviously, if I didn't, I probably wouldn't, but I would definitely flag that and be like, this is not ethical. This is not the right thing to do. External candidates should not be walking around the office and asking to be put on a team. Like, if that had happened to me and I knew the person, I'd reach directly out to the recruiter and say, we shouldn't consider this person. This is totally not acceptable. Nobody should feel like they can't go to work and have somebody poking around and asking them to find a team for them. I'm not a fan personally. I would have, if that person had interrupted me at my desk, I definitely would have made them feel the pain of that. I just don't think I don't think it's on the up and up personally. But I understand people are trying to do whatever they can to get a job. I get it. By the way, PM roles are getting tough to get. Everyone wants it. 1 PM to 10 engineers usually, but don't stop trying. Yeah, don't stop trying on the PM side. Here's the great news about product managers. First of all, it's a cool role. And second of all, they pay and they pay really well. And if you are in the product management negotiation phase, you should be going crazy. Like I would be anchoring super high. Now, of course, I say that all with understanding the company you're negotiating with. But if you're negotiating a product role in big tech, go big or go home because they're going to pay you more than you think. Okay. So just definitely negotiate. If I do get into the next step, how much time do I have to prep myself for the coding interview? I don't want to continue practicing for months just to be ghosted once again. Okay. And then how do I do it right? I understand that it will set back promotion and should be tread lightly, but it does feel the only right way. So otherwise I'm wasting time. So I don't understand the second one. Okay. Sorry. I went from one comment to another because that was a 2 of 2. Let me go backwards. I apologize. We'll come back to that. So for the coding interview, look, I like pressure. If you get that interview, you cannot push it out for months, a couple weeks, maybe 3 weeks. We always can check in with our recruiter. Hey, I'd like a little bit of time to prep. Am I putting the role at risk by pushing it out a few weeks? Your recruiter is going to tell you the answer to that because that's good for them. So if I have a ton of candidates in the flow, I'm going to say, look, you need to interview in the next week or else the opportunity might not be there. The other piece you can do is if they say no, it's okay. Say, well, what's a good amount of time? Like we want to build that relationship and do a little bit of back and forth with them. That's going to be really, really helpful. But we want to get a pulse from them. I wouldn't be spending months though. And if you think you're getting into the interviews now, I would be getting after it now and whatever you want to use, whether it's Leak Code or any of these other platforms that people tend to like, and obviously practicing with other humans, AI tools, it's all good. Okay, so how do I do it right? I want to go back to this one. I understand that we'll set back promotion. I should tread lightly, but it does feel the right way. So I don't have enough context to understand, like, are you currently thinking about doing an internal transfer and you're at a company and you're asking about it? A little more context and I feel like I can give a much better answer. Sometimes we really want to transfer, and the reality is we want to transfer to get away from a boss as quickly as we possibly can. I know that scenario because I've been in that scenario. So, but it comes with other things on the back end. So come back, give me some more context, and I can help more. Okay, we're at the 30s. I'm going to take 30 seconds to highlight coupon code Blue Sky, 20% off of our AI tool and our interview mastery course just today. The AI tool has some major updates coming through. We've released our ideal answer. We're going to be releasing breakdown modular feedback late this week, next week. I mean, the improvements are fantastic, and we still think we're best in market, even though we're pretty new and we're still working on it. And the interview mastery course is still getting great feedback. Still do one-on-one interview coaching, one-on-one negotiation coaching, and one-on-one strategy sessions. That's resume and LinkedIn. You can find all those services at practiceinterviews.com. By the way, I have a blog. I've done almost 100 blog posts, and we have tons of free resources on the website. I go live 9 a.m. Pacific time every Tuesday, new original content every Monday. If I'm not going to produce that, I will update the YouTube community tab. And then lastly, I did partner with Talent Acquisition Week. So they are hosting a virtual event all this week. If you're interested, you're in the sourcing and recruiting space, click the link in the YouTube description to learn more. Okay. If you like what I'm doing today, smash that like button. If you've never subscribed, consider subscribing. Let's go back to our questions. Hey, Jeff, I have an interview with Google for a strategic partner manager role, which is a client-facing role. Anything I should be focusing on for a second RRK interview? And you're scheduled, let's see, get this second comment. Oh, scheduled to have. Okay, sorry, I thought there was a continuation there. Strategic partner manager, yes. So much of this is going to be interpersonal, right? So really focus in on your behavioral answers where you've had to work with challenging customer or client or even partnership situations, ones where you've been able to prioritize, optimize, handle a lot of just juggling a lot of items at one time. So you want to be thinking about how you've done that in the past and then how you would tackle these external client initiatives in this specific role. And the biggest thing I like to tell everybody about the client-facing roles is just never forget that these client-facing roles, you're going to do a ton of internal work too. And I think sometimes, well, I know sometimes when solving hypothetical answers, there's just not enough talk about how you leverage and work with internal teams. So just always a strong recommendation of mine. I hope that helps. Hey, Jeff, after an interview with the hiring manager, is it appropriate to follow up via LinkedIn message as I don't have their email address? Okay, let's talk about it. So there's a couple different strategies. Could you follow up via LinkedIn message? 100%. You've now met with them, so LinkedIn is now open. We'll get back to that in a second. You can always write a thank you note and send it through your point of contact, probably your recruiter in this probably your recruiter. If your hiring manager is your point of contact, I would imagine you would have their contact info. So if it's your recruiter, say, hey, I wanted to pass this on to hiring manager Sue. Here's an email, please forward it on. So you can do either one. Let's get back to the LinkedIn thing. I really do have a strong preference. Again, it's just my opinion, but I do have a strong preference that we're not trying to connect with interviewers, hiring managers, recruiters on LinkedIn before we actually speak with them or go into the interview process. Why? Because it's some people's personality type that they don't like it. And it's not mine. I don't mind, but I know people who do. I've talked to people who do. So we're assuming some risk if we do that. But after we meet them, to reach out to them, send a thank you note via LinkedIn. Totally cool. Claude said 9.11 is greater than 9.9. So my least concern is AI replacing jobs. I'm not sure what that means. But AI is AI has been coached to AI has been coached and trained to not create human fear around job loss because of AI. It's already happening. And you're It's already happening. And again, I think one of the things that is or one of the items that's challenging, and let's just talk about it, is that the world, a lot of the world still isn't really leveraging or using AI. That's one. And then secondarily, people are looking at job loss from AI in today's AI landscape. But what's going to happen in 6 months or 12 months or 18 months or 2 years? AI is going to get significantly better, significantly faster. And so, with it getting significantly better, significantly faster, we're going to see updates that we can't even possibly fathom or imagine yet. Think about how far we've come in the last 18 months. So, but I have found that I ask these AI tools all the time, are humans going to lose jobs to AI? And they say, no, AI is going to help improve jobs because they've trained the models to say that so that they reduce human fear. Just my 2 cents. As we just speak, I just received an email from the recruiter, LOL. She told me she'll share my resume with the recruiter supporting further review. Any time estimate? No time estimate. No, I can't estimate time. But I can already tell you that that's more positive than what probably 50% plus get. So the fact that they've actually said, hey, I'm reaching out. Hey, I'm working for you. Hey, I'm trying to help you. Already putting you in a good place. Okay. So good news. Good news, but timetable, no, it's really, really hard to predict. Okay, coming back. P.S. I already asked my recruiter to forward the email to the hiring manager, but never got a response from the recruiter, so wasn't sure if it went through. Thus, thought of direct message. And this is also a great subject to mention. Like, will recruiters always send that thank you note forward? We don't know. So you can take control and send them a LinkedIn message. But the fact that you've done it, now you could potentially be doubling up. So it's tricky. But yeah, it's a way to take control is to just send that direct LinkedIn message because I don't necessarily trust that recruiters will send it on. Okay, I hope that helps. I made it through 3 interviews at GPS. And before my 4th one, the recruiter told me they offered the role to someone else. She said the team liked me and they expect to have headcount in a few weeks. Should I reach back out or wait? I'm listed as interview scheduled in the career profile for the role. It's been 3 weeks. 100%. Reach out. At 3 weeks, it comes in with a little bit of empathy and awareness. So what do I mean? You just come in and you basically say, we know Sue is my fake manager. Jane tends to be my fake recruiter, and Bob just tends to be the angry person. I don't know how it worked out that way, but it did. So with Jane, our recruiter, we just touch base and we say, "Hey, Jane, I hope all is well. It's been 3 weeks, and you mentioned there might be a new role in 3 weeks. Hey, I get it. Sometimes 3 weeks is just an estimate, but I just wanted to reach out, let you know that I'm still engaged and interested. I hope you're having a fantastic day, week. Thank you so much." And that's it. So always when they give us a timetable, we are going to follow up on that exact timetable, just knowing that that was probably a casual few weeks and like we don't know for sure, but absolutely 100% follow up today. Your AI tool helped me a ton. Thank you so much for the positive feedback. We're continuing to work on it. I think the biggest thing is that the actual function of the tool giving strong feedback is excellent. The UI, the UX, because we're only 5 months into market, we're going to continue to improve the UI and UX, and that's going to get better and better and better. But the actual feedback, I guarantee anybody who uses that tool will get better at interviewing. And the joke that all my clients give me is they say the tool sounds exactly like me because I built it that way. It should be giving feedback the way I would be giving feedback in a client session. Thank you so much for the positive feedback. And for anybody who is using the tool, you can email me, chat with me anytime. Any and all feedback, super helpful. More details. This is in Google. Okay, so we're going back for anybody who's watching. The scenario is we're talking internal transfer here. More details. This is in Google. I changed manager once I got onboarded. My manager was let go and I joined less than a year. I'm on my 4th manager and I don't like the vibe and there's nowhere to grow. Okay. Then you have a unique use case, right, for potentially finding an internal transfer. I don't want to give advice that's going to be detrimental to your mental health, right? Because our mental health impacts our physical health and therefore it impacts our overall health. And people do not leave companies, they leave managers. And so even when we talk about these elite companies like Google, the sad news is that there's management and management isn't always good, including at Google, right? And so your career will grow and thrive under the right management. And I always get back to a couple of critical data points that I think are so important to discuss. One, there's only one quality I look for in a manager, only one. If they have this quality, they're going to be a good manager or leader. They think about you as a person first and an employee second. That's it. That's it. Literally now, anybody who's on this live session, reflect back to all your good and bad managers. The managers that thought of you as a person first and an employee second can almost guarantee they were your best leaders. Then the second piece, where's my brain going here? I've lost my train of thought here. So we're thinking about managers. Okay, sorry, I lost my train of thought. So we're talking about good leaders, but sometimes, again, you just have to leave. I lost my train of thought. But sometimes you just got to try and move on to that next manager. And one of the ways we uncover if they're good is we can ask for these prospective managers, say like, well, what do you love the most about your team, your role, the job? If we hear anything negative there, it's also a way to uncover if they're going to be a good or bad manager. But yeah, I get it. Like just for our mental and physical health, like we got to try and run away from bad managers, bad teams where we don't see any progression, even though it can set us back. I lost my train of thought. I'm sure I'll come back to it. And if I think of it, I'll let you know. Hey, Jeff, greetings from Brazil. Amazing. What are the key communication skills a candidate for an L3 Google role must have to be considered a strong hire? Okay, so let's just remove the level and say, what are the communication skills a candidate needs for any level role to be successful and be considered a strong hire? And let's just talk about the strong hire piece. I think there's some maybe messaging or education out there that's saying like you need to get all strong hires to get hired at a company like Google. Absolutely not. Like that never happened for me. I never had strong hires across the board. I'd have maybe a strong hire, a leaning hire, but not strong hires across the board. In a job interview, there's only 3 things that I look for from a successful candidate. 1, structure. Are you structuring your answers? Are you using a method? Because that structure shows me that you can stay on task, stay on point. Then within that structure, how are you organizing the information? So structure is okay, but it's not as great if you can't organize the information. And then last is level of detail. Too much, too little, not clear. The level of detail is absolutely the hardest piece. So when we talk about details, let's just talk about one item. That one of the biggest communication challenges I see from people is context. If you can speak in clear context, you leave no doubt with your audience, whoever that audience is, job interview or not, to understand what it is we're talking about. No context, I can't understand, I'm disconnected, I'll stop paying attention, I'll get bored, and I won't listen. So bringing in the appropriate amount of context is key. So where does context show up in interviews? In two, excuse me. Sorry. In two critical areas. So in your situation and task on your behavioral questions, the context needs to be clean, clear, and limited, not too much. And then on hypothetical questions and your assumptions, we need to build some shape around what we're solving for. Without that context, we're solving for nothing. I know that's a lot. I hope it helps. Let me know if you have more questions. Thank you so much for being here. Google is taking a long time to give me post on-site interview results. 2 weeks as of today. Is this a good sign? P.S. My recruiter is still very active and in contact with me. So, Randy, there's so many things going on in the background that I can't see and I don't know. But here's what I will tell you. Post-interview results means that if you're still in the mix, they like you. You might have gone first, you might have gone last, they may still be interviewing other candidates, but you're one of the candidates they're considering. You always want to be so fantastic that they drop all those other candidates and just decide to move forward with you. But some hiring managers, for example, want to talk to a minimum of 3 or 5 candidates, even though that's not what I recommend. Some will always want to stack rank, look at everybody, let everybody finish the interviews. But the fact that you have a responsive recruiter who's keeping you in the loop, it's a good sign in the sense that they definitely like you. If they didn't like you, they would have let you go. So you're definitely being considered, but next steps and timeline are quite an unknown at this point. And good luck. Hi, thanks for being here. You're welcome. Hey, Jeff, my current role has pre-sales architect in my title, which is causing some confusion with recruiters and hiring managers, but I have a lot of post-sales implementation experience. Okay. What do you suggest I do so my resume explains my overall experience and I'm a fit for the role? I've tried cover letter and your suggestion on tailored summary section. Okay. Okay, cool. So this is really easy. Well, somewhat easy. What I want you to do is I want you to change the title on your resume to sales architect. Because if you're doing pre and post sales, you truly are a sales architect. And the only time we need to put our official, real title is on the job application. That's it. Besides the job application, we do not need to, we can make up any title we want that has good alignment. Just make sure in the application you have the specific months, years, and the right title. But oftentimes our titles are just not highlighting what we actually do appropriately. So we need to change them. Okay. That's my recommendation. And absolutely get those summary bullets down. That's going to be key. But if they're worried about post sales, then just put sales. And then you can say in the first bullet, handle, perform, conduct pre and post sales activities regarding A, B, and C, doing X, Y, and Z. Hope that helps. There are bad managers everywhere. Don't jump ship too quick. Good luck. And now I've remembered the second detail that I totally lost my mind on. So we were trying to talk about what I look for in a good manager. Here's the other crazy part. And I just strongly recommend, people don't have to read the book, but just go look at it on YouTube. This stat will blow your mind, and believe it or not, it's actually a true statement. Humans cannot accurately rate or judge other humans' performance. What am I talking about? It's a book called The 9 Lies About Work. It's lie number 6. Again, if you look up lie number 6 and you YouTube it, 9 Lies of Work, there's like a quick 5-minute video on it if you want to watch it. But Humans judge within their own lens. So we see the world based on whether we're analytical or thoughtful or whatever we're going to be, right? So what hiring managers are doing when they do performance reviews is they're rating based on their own unique system for rating. That's why you can do the same job for two different managers and one manager loves you and one manager hates you. That's why. And adding more people into the mix to judge your performance makes it worse, not better. Because what's happening is that you're just having more people show their unique lens. I know it's a little bit of a tangent, but it's one reminder that that's why it's tough to work in corporate anywhere, because it's really hard when you get that manager who's aligned, has a similar lens to you. You want to hang on as long as you can. Okay, awesome. When you're interviewing your manager as much as they're interviewing you. 100%, Brad. And I want to give some advice that I truly believe people are failing on, what I believe is a very, very simple and critical item. We are interviewing our hiring managers, but not during the interview. Okay, so what do I mean by that? Of course, as we're interviewing with the hiring manager, we're trying to get a feel for them personally. Are they gracious and kind? Are they nice? Do they have the personality type of somebody I would want to work for? But in the hiring manager interview, I believe a lot of candidates are super focused in on asking really challenging and tough questions at the end of the interview. I always default back to, what do you love about the company? What do you love about your job? What do you love about the team? What's the coolest thing you're working on right now? End that interview. And then if they decide to hire you, you ask for a separate informal meeting with the hiring manager where you really come at them and challenge them. Why? Because now they already like you. Not everybody likes to be challenged. This is a personality type thing. So when we come in and we challenge hiring managers at the end, where am I going to be in the next 3 to 6 months? What's the toughest thing I'm going to work on? What's the biggest problem I need to solve? And it's like, ooh, like it can feel very overwhelming to a hiring manager. Not everybody loves this advice. Not everybody loves a lot of the advice that I've given today, but again, just my opinion, and it is my unique lens, and it's doesn't mean everybody needs to agree, but it's just my 2 cents. But absolutely, we're always interviewing the hiring manager. And that's why if they don't say that they love the company, love their role, love the team, I'm out 100% of the time. And that's why I love those questions. What's the average tenure of FAANG? I've heard it's quite low. Why is this? It varies so significantly role to role. So if you're like a software engineer, I think it's maybe 18 months to 2 years. Whereas I would say like program managers, it's probably 5 years. So it really is role dependent. The reason why people leave so often is when you get a FAANG company in your background, you are going to get absolutely crushed with opportunities. You're going to hear from people every day asking you to interview, offering you jobs after interviewing, of course. But that's a big reason why people don't stay. And it's not beneficial to the employee. Like if I was going into Google right now, if I was looking at Google, well, I'm looking at the fact that 70% of my initial equity grant vests in the first 2 years. And I would heavily negotiate for a sign-on bonus. Those first 2 years, I know I can get some pretty good earnings. I'm going to try and take those really good earnings and jump ship and go make 50 to 100K more at another company, USD, right? So like I can make really big, quick income jumps by jumping from one FAANG to another FAANG to a bigger role at a startup. That's why. It's the money and the opportunity. It's just there's so many opportunities coming to these FAANG employees that there's typically good reasons to jump. But again, if I was going into Google today, I would stay 2 years and get out of there just because of the economics of it. And then I'm going to go build in some sort of crazy sign-on bonus, try and see how I can navigate that next opportunity to get as much money up front and then jump ship again. We live in an economy where companies no longer incentivize employees to stay a long time for the most part. Now, like companies like Google and Apple, they're really good at paying you really well over time because of great refresher grants, opportunities for promotion, etc. If you're happy, maybe not the best reason to jump ship. Have really good leadership, supportive management, sure. But short moves are basically money grabs for the most part, from the way I see it, or somebody's trying to leave a bad manager. Okay, really good engagement today. We haven't spent any time talking about, are you spending enough time practicing for your job interviews? So as additional questions come in, I'm happy to answer them. I just want to talk about this for a few minutes. And I always like to give a very, very similar analogy. And I was thinking a lot about this analogy yesterday and saying to myself, okay, well, this makes sense and it kind of doesn't make sense, but let's talk about it. So let's take three different scenarios. Let's take the professional athlete, the professional musician, and then like working for a FAANG, MAGA, whatever they're calling it these days. And so if you take each one of those three, of course, to work at an elite company, you have to spend all those hours building up your career and doing all the things to be successful, but you're just doing that on a day-to-day basis. If you're a professional athlete or a professional musician, you are just going to have to practice endlessly, tens of thousands of hours to make the team, to sell out amphitheaters, whatever it's going to be. But in the job realm, if you were to spend just 10 to 20 hours of time practicing and preparing, at 20 hours, let's put it at a high end. How many people are spending 20 hours preparing? Not very many. That's probably less than 1% globally, maybe 3% globally spend that much time preparing for their job interviews. That can have such a huge impact on your overall life trajectory and success financially, what you can do for your family. People aren't practicing enough. It's just the job market's too tight. We got to put in the time and effort. And so at a minimum, if I'm going after, let's just call it FAANG because it's easier. If I'm going after one of these FAANG opportunities, there's no way I'm practicing less than 20 hours. No way. And that 20 hours of practice is going to start by writing down my answers. Then I'm probably going to start, just because it's 2024, I'm probably going to start practicing with an AI tool to fine tune. Then I'm going to schedule some one-on-one sessions with a coach, with a friend, a family member. And that easily can take 20 hours. If you add in research, certifications, other things that might be important for a role, maybe 30 or 40 hours. Is it worth 1 week, 40 hours? That's like your typical work week, 40 hours. Is it worth 40 hours to get paid 50, 100, 150 more to change the trajectory of everything? Yeah. And my personal story is the same. I mean, I got the job interviews at Google and I basically had the weekend to prepare. So what did I do? I holed up in my bedroom at the time and I just studied all weekend. I went over it and over it and over it again and again and again and again, and have all the tools and the people to help me at that time. But I did what I needed to do. I sacrificed my entire weekend to prep for those 3 half-hour interviews. And I got that contract job, and everybody knows it led to a full-time job pretty quickly, but that's what I did. And I just think we're not spending enough time practicing. So just to get your answers down, kind of get a feel for things, that's probably about 5 hours. Then engaging and interacting with an AI tool, for example, at least 5 hours. Then maybe we throw in, coupled in there, like a couple hours, 2 to 3 hours of research. Then at least a few practice sessions with friends, family, and a coach. So really a minimum, even 10 is probably not enough. But I just want to push on this so much. It's like we can take control with such a limited amount of hours. And so I just want to encourage you to practice as much as you can. It's not fun. It's not fun. I mean, for maybe me it is, but I'm weird, right? But for most people, practicing your interview skills is not fun. But all I can tell you is I know personally, my personal story is that interview practice changed my life. The way I prepped, the way I practiced, was everything for me. And that's why I wanted to do all this stuff, because I wanted to show people how to be successful in this space. So I'm going to go into my wrap up. If any additional questions come in, I'm happy to answer them. And thank you, everybody, so much for being here. I really appreciate it. So just today, coupon code Blue Sky, 20% off my AI tool and interview mastery course, available just today. The AI tool, so many things going on all the time. And we're just improving, getting great feedback. We are getting closer to 2,000 signups. Not everybody who signs up uses the tool, but the numbers are showing us that we're trending in the right direction. So we're pretty excited about that. Interview mastery course, still getting great feedback. At practiceinterviews.com, you can still check out my one-on-one interview coaching, my one-on-one negotiation coaching, and my one-on-one strategy sessions. That's resume, LinkedIn, and networking. I'm about to hit 100 blog posts, so I definitely have a ton of blog content, and then a bunch of downloads. And you can join our Slack community. That's also free, all at practiceinterviews.com. If you like what I did today, smash that like button. If you've never subscribed, I go live 9 a.m. Pacific time every Tuesday, new original content, longer form every Monday, and then at least 2 to 3 shorts a week as well. Okay, I am going to answer all these last minute questions. It looks like a bunch just came in while I was trying to wrap up. So let's go through all of these. Maybe I missed a couple of these. Yeah, it looks like I did. Okay, we'll answer them now. Hi, Jeff. I'm very strong in architectural design, but not getting enough opportunities. Okay. So again, to open doors, 3 things, right? Like apply, but very rarely apply. Secondly, referrals. Referrals are our best friends. We don't always have them, but we got to try and work our network as much as we can. Going to do that through LinkedIn. And then third is that giving first strategy. We want to give. And so how do we give? We give articles, videos, things like that on LinkedIn, but they have to be relevant to our audience. And I definitely recommend, when trying to network with people on LinkedIn, don't network with recruiters. It's a waste of time. Try and find the hiring manager. I understand that can be very difficult, but if you think you found them, send them a cool article, cool video that's very relevant and recent, and don't ask for anything. People will get back to you when you give first. At Brad here, and change the manager on my day. I was throwing me off. And yes, I value the chance of working at Google, and that is why I'm going to internal transfer instead of quitting. Yeah, and I think you do everything you can to get that internal transfer before you quit. That's going to be what's best for you, 100%. What's the best way of making internal moves? If I apply on my internal job site, it notifies my manager. Yeah, so this, I think this is a new question. We've actually talked quite a bit in this session about internal transfers. And so one way around that is you could, again, we always want to trust HR to the extent that we trust them, know the HR department in our organization. But you could go to HR and say, look, I'm considering an internal move, but I don't want my manager to be notified while I'm looking. You only maybe want to notify them after you've found the right opportunity, and then discuss it with them. So maybe go around and see what HR says, if they can leave that person out. I don't know if that's just a system item, but it's a good question to ask. Jeff, you're doing great work. Thank you. Thank you. I have a question. What are the key important points I'll need to remember during an interview with a hiring manager? Some last minute tips. Well, with a hiring manager, we're there to make their life easier. So we want to lean on how we've been strategic, how we've enhanced processes, and definitely how we've collaborated with internal and external stakeholders to make everything better, right? And so we're really thinking, like, what does a hiring manager look for? They look for a team player who can always enhance strategy and process. And the biggest thing, though, is to not overemphasize those things, have them come out more naturally. I always feel like when we're trying to push too much towards something in an interview, um, it can throw us off, and interviewing's hard enough. But those are a few items and then last minute tips. And then again at the end, what do you questions I would ask them? What do you love about the company? What do you love about your job? What do you love about the team? To the extent that you can share, what's the coolest thing you're working on right now? Love, 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 coolest, all about them. They talk about themselves, they end the interview, and they like you better. It's a missing data point. Yeah. I hope that helps. Oh, and I do have a hiring manager interview video on my YouTube channel if you haven't seen it. Interview prep was actually pretty fun for me. It's more fun than doing leak code without an interview lined up. I'm sure it is, Randy. I'm sure it is. Um, Something that unlocks or happens during our interview prep is, and this has been feedback that was totally unintentional, I've heard from many people on the live and my clients, is some of the things that you prep when prepping for an interview, you realize are basic communication skills that can enhance your overall work experience and personally how you communicate with others. So in that sense, I kind of think it's fun too. I'm not from tech, and I think your advice will be solid. Thank you. Yeah, so I think the biggest misconception is that people see my content and they think I'm a Google coach. I'm not. I do a lot of Google content. I want to help people get into that organization because I know the benefits. I was able to get in there and I've benefited from it for an incredibly long time. But if you really look at my core coaching, I'm not a coach for tech. I'm not a coach for Google. I'm just a interview and negotiation coach. And really, if we go a step backwards, I'm really a communications coach. I teach communication skills. Even though in these lives, it's pretty casual. I can be pretty informal. My brain can stop working as it did earlier, but really, it's just communication skills, and that's what I try to focus in on. Thank you so much, Jeff. A fantastic session. Thank you for being here. Thanks for being here. Thanks, Jeff. These are so helpful and a weekly reminder to not give up. Practice, give first, never give up. And if you have the means, try a practice interview AI tool. And, again, yes, please do. And, I'm going to throw this back up here again. One of the items that I tried to do with this AI tool was my coaching is not the cheapest. Okay, let's just call it what it is. But what I wanted to do with the AI tool is offer something at what I believed was a price point that most people could afford. I understand times are tough, but I'm really hopeful that at this price point, you're getting the Jeff coaching experience, and maybe it's not as intimate, right? Of course, but that it will give you the experience that's going to help you move forward, because all the competition, and again, I'm not here to sell, but I am here to sell a tiny bit. All the competition is giving just this blob summary feedback. It's not helpful. Anybody can do that. And you could throw all your answers into ChatGPT. You could use a voice to text tool, have that type it out, throw it into GPT and give me some generic feedback. The feedback that we've created is Jeff. I spent 6 months on the prompts. We spent 5 months developing the tool, and we've been live for 5 months. So I see a lot of opportunities there. Thanks for all your help on the Google interviews. I've actually cleared the interview and have received an offer as well. Awesome. How do you see Google of today as an employee versus Google pre-pandemic? Okay, so just know that I think it has changed a little bit, but I'm not there, so I can't speak to the day-to-day. I really think Google was a different company pre-Ruth. Right. So Ruth's the CFO. When I was there in 2013 and 2014, I believe she came in 2015. It was a free for all. And that was pretty fun. Like, there weren't a lot of rules and it was fun. But then in 2015, things got tightened and it felt a little different. But the reason why I recommend Google or Meta or Apple or Amazon the value of a brand. I cannot overemphasize that brand will pay you for your lifetime. So get into one of these companies and the value of that brand is priceless. And then, by the way, all these big tech companies, including Google, pay pretty well too. So and I understand it's not all about money. I get it. But a priceless brand backed by great comp, I can always recommend that. Maybe not for the long term, but in the short term, 100%. I might have missed it as multitasking at work, but I think you missed a question from 15 to 20 minutes ago. Okay. Let's see. Okay, so we covered the sales architect. Yeah. Suggest I do in my resume to my overall experience. Yeah, so we did, but let's just double it down again. Like cover letters, absolutely not. Like I just think they're a total waste of time. I don't think they get read for the most part. But you've tailored the summary, which again is appropriate. And then in the bullets, again, if you're coming across a lot of post-sales roles, I just want to make sure you're putting pre and post-sales bullets in there. So I think it was covered, but of course, if you feel like I didn't when you rewatch it after the session, please come back and add a comment. And I'm happy to add more. Okay. Fully agree to the statement about pre and after Ruth. Oh, okay. Okay, cool. I'm glad somebody else thinks that way. Thanks for the answer. Your tips were really helpful. Thank you, everybody, so much for being here. I really appreciate it. I'm going to throw one last item up here as we close out. I did partner with Talent Acquisition Week. So if you happen to be here and be in sourcing or recruiting, there's a link in the YouTube section, YouTube description of this video. If you'd like to learn more, it's going on all week. So you can click on that link. Thank you, everybody, again, so much for being here. I sincerely appreciate this community, and I will be back next Tuesday at 9 a.m. Pacific time. Thanks so much. Have a great day.